junk disappear.
Here's what's coming up tonight on Inside City Hall. Democrats from across New York are gathering in Syracuse to kick off the party state convention. Our Bernadette Hogan is on the scene, standing by with the details. State Assembly member Rodneyce Pichotte-Hermelin, the chair of the Kings County Democratic Organization, will join us from the convention to talk about why the Brooklyn Democrats have pulled their endorsement of Governor Hochul. Then we'll turn to the city's looming budget crisis with Christine Quinn, the former city council speaker, and the president and CEO of WIN, the city's largest provider of homeless shelter services. And we'll bring you a preview of a new opera coming to the Metropolitan Opera, highlighting the rescue efforts of Ukrainian children forcibly taken to Russia. For the best news, debate, and analysis of New York politics, join us inside City Hall. Good evening. Welcome to Inside City Hall for Thursday, February 5th, 2026. I'm Errol Lewis. Democrats from all around the state are converging in Syracuse today ahead of the state Democratic convention tomorrow. That includes Governor Kathy Hochul, who held a news conference this afternoon with her new running mate, former city council speaker Adrienne Adams. Tomorrow, the two are expected to be officially nominated as the state's first all-female ticket in the race for governor. Our Bernadette Hogan is in Syracuse right now and joins us with the details. Good evening, Bernadette.
Good evening, Errol. And the governor actually just addressed informally a crowd of supporters ahead of the nominating event, which is set to occur Friday. But I want to just take you back to earlier in the day when Governor Kathy Hochul stood with former City Council Speaker Adrienne Adams, turn her lieutenant governor pick. It's the governor's third choice within the last 5 years, and the governor and her team really kept it under wraps. But after unveiling Adams as her choice, she said that she's very excited to work with a partner on affordability, public safety, and moving the state forward. Let's take a listen to what the governor and Adams had to say.
3 times the charm. This job is not about our egos. It is not. It is about how we put our own desires and ambitions aside and put the people of this great state, 20 million people who look to us every day to help them get out of their circumstance. You put that first. And I found that in Adrienne Adams.
Now is not the time for distraction. Now is the time for Democrats to come together and fight back as one team. Governor Hochul is leading that charge, and I'm proud to stand beside her. Together, we will deliver.
And that whole idea of unity that Adams brought up also was born of a question about what happened to the governor's current lieutenant governor, Antonio Delgado, who is here in Syracuse with his newly announced running mate, India Walton, a Buffalonian, also where Governor Kathy Hochul is from, and kind of why that relationship ended up falling apart. Adams said that she looks forward to working with Governor Hochul, and they have a pre-existing relationship. Now going back to New York City, Mayor Zohran Mamdani talked about his recent endorsement of the governor and why it took so long. Here's what he had to say.
This is an endorsement that I make as a reflection of how Governor Hochul is leading this state. And that leadership has included transforming the relationship between the city and state from one that has often been characterized by pettiness and making it one that is characterized more by productivity.
And Mamdani unveiled that official endorsement earlier today in an op-ed piece in The Nation, where he also pointed out some differences that he has with the governor, primarily on taxing the wealthy, something the governor is opposed to. But I want to bring you back here, obviously, to Syracuse, where I'm standing with the state Democratic Party chairman from Long Island, Jay Jacobs. Thank you for being with me. Talk to me a little bit about what this weekend is. You know, the governor's here. She's doing well in polling. Antonio Delgado is also here. Is that a little awkward for you, and also this idea of unity when it seems the last time the top of the ticket didn't appear to work out so well?
Well, it's certainly not awkward for me because I know Lieutenant Governor Delgado, and I've worked with him before. And I know that the governor wouldn't find it awkward. She is the governor. But I think this whole two-day process is about bringing together leaders from across the state, Democratic leaders, to make a selection as to who they want to be, they want for the Democratic nominee. And I think overwhelmingly they're going to choose Kathy Hochul.
Talk to me. You, of course, are from Nassau County. You're also the chairman of the Democratic Party down there. The governor has to win regional fights. Obviously, what's going on the federal level and federal immigration enforcement is a hot topic throughout the state, but particularly on Long Island. Do you think more moderate Democrats like Tom Suozzi and Laura Gillen will be impacted by now the governor announcing she wants to have new anti-ICE measures?
No, I think she's right on the mark. I think she's doing it exactly right. And I have to tell you something, on Long Island, you look at the polls, you talk to people in the streets, they're not happy with ICE. They think they've gone way too far, and I think that candidates like Laura Gillen, like Tom Suozzi will do very well. Interestingly, Bruce Blakeman, her opponent, has tied himself to Donald Trump and favored ICE, and heavily so. I think that's going to drag him down.
Very interesting party politics, and also, again, you're from Nassau, so you are acutely aware of Bruce Blakeman. I'm going to send it back to Errol. Thank you again, Chairman, for speaking with me. Errol, back to you.
Thanks, Bernadette. Meanwhile, as part of an affordability agenda that she unveiled last month, Governor Hochul is promising to reduce car insurance premiums by limiting fraudulent claims and lawsuits. While drivers across the state would benefit by paying less for their insurance, the push is also being applauded by some big companies, including Uber, which is spending big on behalf of the governor, including on Super Bowl Sunday. Our Courtney Gross has more in this report.
People here are saddened, angry, and frustrated with the bills.
It's a high-dollar campaign to boost the current governor.
Governor Hochul's already cut taxes for middle-class families. Now she's cutting car insurance rates.
The ad is set to be aired during the Super Bowl on Sunday and elsewhere after that. It's part of a new campaign from a group called the Citizens for Affordable Rates PAC, and in its initial paperwork says it's backing Governor Kathy Hochul. Who's paying? Well, Uber is. The company pumped nearly $3 million into the group this week, planning to push one of the governor's big budget proposals, car insurance reform.
So I want to put a spotlight on this issue.
Hochul is proposing sweeping changes to try to root out fraud and excessive litigation related to car accidents, including limiting payouts for bad actors and changing the definition of a serious injury. The measures, she says, will reduce car insurance rates for New Yorkers because there will be fewer damages awarded.
Nobody else is willing to stand up and say, why is this happening? And how can we do something about it?
The changes will benefit companies like Uber and insurers who will have reduced liability. New York One reviewed how much insurance companies have donated to Governor Hochul since January 2023. They have contributed at least $220,000.
It helps the insurance companies and harms the people who have been hurt.
The state's Trial Lawyers Association is vehemently opposing the measures. Those lawyers also spend big on state races. Their political action committee donated nearly $1.5 million in that same time period to lawmakers in Albany, not Hochul directly.
I observe a governor who has put forth speaking points that seem to mirror exactly what Uber and big insurance companies want.
In response to this story, a spokesperson for Hochul said, these common sense and fair reforms will result in lower premiums for all policyholders in New York State. And any suggestion that she is acting on behalf of anyone other than the millions of New Yorkers who pay some of the highest rates in the nation is just plain wrong. Courtney Gross, New York One.
It is time now for a break. Coming up, we'll bring you a live report from Astoria, Queens, where Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is holding a town hall for her constituents. Stay with us.
Every day tells a new story. At Mornings on One, we're dedicated to bringing you the stories that matter most to start your day. With in-depth coverage of the day's news.
I'm Pat Kernan. Here are the stories we're following.
And weather updates every 10 minutes.
Tomorrow, some morning sunshine possible. Clouds take over.
It's our responsibility to get you the information you need before you head out the door. Mornings on 1. Weekdays starting at 6 on the Spectrum News app. Free for Spectrum and Xfinity customers.
When you're connected with Spectrum, you get 5G and fiber-powered internet combined for the fastest wireless speeds. So you can sweat for the right reasons. It's only the seamless connection you love at home, everywhere you go. It's only everything.
I'm Sandra, this is Jorge, and we were adopted in 2019. I remember when they first came to us, Michael was already a teenager. The whole cliche of they're so lucky to have you guys, and it's the other way around. They have changed our family for the better. They chose to love us. They didn't have to. They chose us. Family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org.
And that's a look at some of what's in the papers this morning. We've done with the sports section.
Today's story is about the latest chapter for a beloved local business.
It's a beautiful day with temperatures in the 60s, but showers are expected in the next hour.
In a city that's always on the go, it's important to stop to hear the stories that connect us.
The news that matters to New Yorkers. That's what brings us together. That's Mornings on 1.
Weekdays starting at 6.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. In a bid to help make universal child care possible, Mayor Mamdani today put out a call for providers in order to expand the city's child care program. Our Kelly Mena was at the announcement and joins us now with more. Good evening, Kelly.
Good evening, Errol. And this comes in the wake of the governor and the mayor last month announcing this new free universal child care for the city's 2-year-olds. City officials taking it a step further today, calling on providers to join the program. Mayor Mamdani calling it a request for information, or new providers to submit applications to join the city's 2K and 3K programs. The city will also be surveying existing operators to find ones that may want to expand their services. In January, Governor Hochul and Mayor Mamdani announced millions of dollars in investment for universal child care, specifically to 2Care. And the mayor earlier today had this to say about those that want to submit applications.
For 5 years, new providers have been cut off from contributing to our programs. Today, we say no more. The expansion survey will also give us a sense of current 3K and pre-K providers eager to participate and expand their offering.
And for the first year of the program, 2,000 2-year-olds will be served in the city, with the program expanded to 12,000 seats in the second year. Governor Hochul last month said that it will first take place in the highest need neighborhoods before expanding to all 5 boroughs. The school's chancellor was also at that announcement earlier today, and here's what he had to say.
Families need to trust the people they are leaving their child with every day, because we know what it means in our city to have high quality, age-appropriate instruction. Being a parent is hard. Finding childcare shouldn't be.
And one area the mayor is looking to expand into when it comes to these programs is family and home-based centers, Errol.
So a lot of these organizations, whether it's a big one or a small one or even a home-based one, there have been issues that we've reported on as far as getting through the paperwork, getting their reimbursements, their payments on time from the city. Did the mayor address any of that?
You know, he did, in a way. This submission, this call for submission, is so that many of these child care programs or providers that have been wanting to get in on this program can now. They're going to be really putting in the resources to expand this program and make sure that it's high quality quality childcare and that they're getting paid on time. Obviously, this is a big part of the mayor's push for affordability, campaigning on this. So he wants to make sure that not only is he delivering on a campaign promise, but that the implementation in the infrastructure is there. Because as you know, Errol, there's a shortage when it comes to childcare providers, and making sure that there are enough throughout the city and not all in one place is going to be vitally important as well.
No, that's right. I mean, they need workers, they need spaces, they need to be insured, they need to be, in some cases, trained. They have to meet certain kind of standards. Getting this program up to speed is really going to be a pretty big effort.
Yes, and I think that's why the mayor's starting so early. This program would be implemented in the fall later this year. So starting now gives them that runway and that platform to get prepared and get these centers in the right shape so that new children who are coming into the program will be served appropriately.
Okay, thanks very much, Kelly. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is hosting a town hall event this evening in her district in Astoria, Queens. And that's where we find our Ayanna Harry. Good evening, Ayanna.
Good evening, Errol. The doors for tonight's town hall opened 2 hours before the start of this conversation, and people began filing in pretty quickly, all eager for the opportunity to ask questions in person of their Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, certainly a local leader with a very significant national profile. And like so many of her past town halls, this is an opportunity for voters to get legislative updates, to ask their own questions, and also to get information on local resources. So before people make their way into the doors of that auditorium, there are opportunities for them to get information on things like legal resources for immigrants, also information on local food banks. And Errol, we know there have been so many pressing issues out of Washington, from a partial government shutdown to questions over the future of immigration and customs enforcement. We spoke to some of the people as they were walking in to find out if there are any particular issues they'd like to hear about.
I've been to the last town hall with Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, and I found it really helpful because she has a lot of answers and she puts things in perspective, which I find really helpful.
Just, I've been living in Astoria in the neighborhood for about 9 months now, so I'm looking forward to seeing AOC in person, just hear what's going on in the neighborhood.
Yes, I want to know about the funding for NYCHA. At this point, I live in Astoria houses, and we need to be fully funded at this point.
So as you heard, Errol, folks are coming here wanting to learn more about both national issues as well as some local issues. And Ocasio-Cortez explained this town hall was put together at the last minute, in part because there have been so many issues unfolding in Washington. And she gave an update on the current fight over funding for the Department of Homeland Security.
The Department of Homeland Security funding is stalled. It has been stalled in Congress. So yes, which is a very important first step. So there's 2 weeks of DHS funding in there. I did not vote for this. I voted no against this. I think we need to shut them down now, right away. But that was the structure of the package. And so they were bundled together. And included in that bundling, even though I voted no, we were actually able to secure about $14 million in different community funding projects for here in New York's 14th Congressional District.
So, Errol, this town hall just got underway a couple of minutes ago. I can hear inside the auditorium that voters are now getting the opportunity to ask some of their questions. I also want to mention there was a pretty warm round of applause for Diana Moreno. She is here tonight just days after winning that special election to replace Zohran Mamdani in the state assembly. It's been a pretty busy few days for Moreno. She won that special election, went up to Albany, and then came back here to Astoria to take part in this town hall. Errol.
Yeah, would it be fair to say that this is a pretty liberal and progressive section of the city where this is being held?
Yeah, this is certainly a pretty progressive section of the city. And what I've seen in covering past town halls of Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez is that typically people seem to be aligned with her views when they come to events like this. And oftentimes, much of the reason why they're here is simply to say thank you and we appreciate you for what you're doing and to keep going. But we're going to certainly be heading right back into the room and listening very closely to see if there are any people who are perhaps offering some pushback.
Yeah, it also sounds like she's, I guess, updating her constituents on why we see her on national television so often, waging these big fights on the big national issues around immigration and other topics.
Yes, but she also spent some time talking about the millions of dollars that she's been able to secure for local projects, not just here in the Queens part, but also in the Bronx part of her district as well, Errol.
Okay, thanks very much, Ayanna. We're going to take a short break now, and when we come back, State Assembly member Rodney Spishot-Hermelin will join me from the State Democratic Convention up in Syracuse. I'll ask her about why the Brooklyn Democratic Organization withdrew its endorsement of Governor Hochul. Stay with us.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
There's nothing quite like the feeling of going to the theater. Onstage celebrates that excitement every week by taking you behind the scenes with the latest news and in-depth interviews of the hottest shows on and off Broadway. So grab a seat, because this is a show you won't want to miss. Join us every Saturday and Sunday at 7:30 p.m. for Onstage.
Onstage is presented by your Tri-State Cadillac dealers. Discover which Cadillac is right for you and elevate your journey.
It's only a hike. It's only made possible by Spectrum Business connecting healthcare providers of all sizes. Like hospitals relying on the Spectrum Fiber broadband network with industry-leading reliability. Practices keeping patient data safe with advanced security. Pharmacies accessing records in the cloud without fail. It's tailored connectivity solutions built for life-changing moments. It's only a hike. It's only everything. Spectrum Business.
Mom was always organized, but she started forgetting to pay her bills on time.
And she'd buy the same gifts over and over.
Telling the girls about my Alzheimer's diagnosis was really hard.
At first we had our cries, but then we were like, okay, let's make a plan.
Early detection gave us time to adapt together.
It's so important for you to think about what you can do and making the most of what you have.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
From my time growing up in Queens watching New York One to my time reporting here, I've seen how quickly a story can change. At News All Day, we bring you the news as it's happening, from around the boroughs to local government to your neighborhood. Because our city never stops moving.
Hi, I'm Shannon Ferry with the day's developing stories. But first,
stay up to date and informed with News All Day, weekdays from noon to 4.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall, where we are turning our focus back to the State Democratic Convention. Governor Kathy Hochul announced Adrienne Adams as her running mate yesterday, but that move caused some uproar among some Brooklyn Democrats, including my next guest. The Brooklyn Democratic Organization withdrew its endorsement of Hochul's reelection bid. And joining me now from the convention in Syracuse to talk about why is State Assembly member Rodney Spishot-Hermelin. She represents all or part of Flatbush, Ditmas Park, and East Midwood in Brooklyn. And she is also the chair of the Kings County Democratic Organization. Welcome back to the program. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, and thanks for holding the mic there like a correspondent. The county organization, the executive committee, the Kings County Democrats endorsed Governor Kathy Hochul on Monday, and then a couple of days later rescinded that endorsement. What happened in between Monday and Wednesday?
Well, first I want to tell you that this is not about beef with the governor, nor it's any beef with her pick. This was about a down ballot risk, and it was about a change in processes and actually consulting with the largest Democratic county in the whole entire state that typically deliver the votes for statewide and citywide election. That was a concern that changed the minds and the votes of many of the members of the Brooklyn Democratic Party.
Well, explain that. Be a little more specific. What down ballot races are you talking about?
Well, you know, Brooklyn is a very complex and very diverse borough where in the past 4 years we lost 4 seats. We lost 3 assembly seats and 1 Senate seat. And there have been concerns in terms of making sure that there was a strong partner, a strong running mate. There were hopes that the running mate would be a Latino male in particular, especially not having or having a void of a Latino or Latinx representation on a statewide level. And that was a concern. And I know the governor has been looking for a strong running mate of Latinx descent, but it was quite surprising and very disappointing that that didn't happen and the way it happened. So many of the members were a little bit concerned, given that they were not quite confident that this particular ticket would help regain some of the seats that we lost in the past. You know, it's very crucial and important to be very prudent and very strategic when finding a running mate that will really attract voters across the state of New York. We have one of the largest Hispanic, Latin voters in the state of New York,
okay.
And I think having a representation should have been really considered.
Let me cut to the chase, because there's a lot of rumors that are flying around. Was your preferred choice as the running mate going to be Eric Gonzalez, the Brooklyn District Attorney?
Well, that was a choice that we were considering for sure. We had conversation with the DA. There were some concerns that they wanted someone to remain as a district attorney because it was a very substantive role. But even if he chose not to run or was not selected, there were many other options, I think, that would have attracted the voter base. Again, we're in the midterms. We're looking to get Congress. We're looking to get Hakeem Jeffries to be the majority speaker. And, you know, many of us want to make sure that, you know, in order to do that, we need a very strong ticket that would turn those voters our way.
Okay. We asked Governor Hochul about all of this today. I want to play for you what she had to say and then get your reaction.
New York is looking for a fighter at this moment in our history. I have found a strong woman, a woman who knows how to take it to the streets, a woman who knows how to fight back. So no one can question what Adrienne Adams brings to this fight in this moment of history right now. And so I look forward to continuing to work with the many allies and supporters we have in Brooklyn, and we'll move through this. You know, people do what they do for their own reasons. I only focus on what's good for the state of New York, and what's good for the state of New York is having Adrienne Adams at my side.
Okay, your reaction.
Well, you know, I mean, I think that is the opinion of the governor, and it is in her right to choose who she feels is a good pick for her. But the concern is that she picked someone who, you know, barely made 40,000 votes across the state of New York when she ran for mayor, ranking 5, and not even getting the support base of her own county and her own county leader. So it was just really surprising that to many that the governor had decided to go with someone who people are concerned that may not attract the voter base that we need to get to the level of turning some of these districts on a congressional level as well a state and assembly level to Democrat.
Okay, fair enough. I want to play or read to you, I'm sure you saw this on social media, City Councilwoman Crystal Hudson put out a message saying, quote, "Never has a black woman worked so hard to tear down other black women. The only political miscalculation is the one made by Chair Bishotte Hermelin." What is your response to that?
Well, I think she needs to consider what she's saying, because I'm a black woman, I'm a county leader, and I haven't gotten any real much support from the council member. So that is not true. I have supported many black women. I don't spend my time trying to tear down anybody. I am actually been called to nominate Tish James tomorrow, and I've selected many black women judges, nominated them and have them endorsed in the judiciary, as well as the electoral position. So, what she's saying is her opinion and false.
And I guess finally, with all of this back and forth, the endorsement, the rescission, the bad feeling within the party, how do you straighten all of this out in the context of this convention? I mean, how do you repair relationships? How do you restore, a sense that your organization is actually organized?
Right. Well, our organization is organized. It's not disorganized, which is why there was a meeting, because there were some concerns, and which is why many of the members want to abstain. Again, I want to make it clear that we have nothing against Hochul. We want her to win, but we want New York State to win. And we was hoping that her pick was a pick that New Yorkers felt confident in, and in winning not only the general election, but winning some of the seats that have put us in a position of vulnerability in Washington, D.C., and here in the state of New York.
What seats are you worried about in Brooklyn at this point?
Well, we have 3 seats that turned red in Sunset Park and Bensonhurst, over by Bergen Beach, Coney Island. These are seats that are now in the Assembly that are seated by Republicans. We also have a Senate seat, the first Asian Senate seat that was created, that is now being seated by a Republican. So these are seats that we want to turn, because, down ballot seats are very important. They influence the seats, many seats that can really help us turn blue as it relates to the congressional seats.
Okay, we'll leave it there for now, and thank you for spending some time with us. Best of luck with the rest of the convention.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take a short break now. When we come back, I'll be joined by Christine Quinn, the CEO of the homeless shelter provider WIN. She says that the city's housing voucher program would save hundreds of millions of dollars each year with some changes. Stay with us.
My time at New York One has shown me that in the city that never sleeps, the news never stops. So as the day winds down, turn to the rush hour.
Good afternoon, I'm Monica Burke.
To catch up on the stories that matter across the 5 boroughs, with in-depth interviews from the city's newsmakers, plus the latest forecast. Catching you up with today, preparing you for tomorrow. Right here on the Rush Hour. Weekdays from 4 to 7 p.m.
It's only a slice. It's only made possible by Spectrum, connecting businesses of all sizes, like small businesses, instantly serving up orders and inventory on the Spectrum Fiber broadband network, and factories, seamlessly connecting to farmers in the field with tailored solutions that always deliver. It's only a slice. It's only everything. Get your business free fiber-powered internet forever. Call to find out how.
I'm Chris Jakovic. I served in the United States Air Force, and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is, my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately, in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakovic, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. My service never stops.
At Spectrum Noticias, we recognize that our New York City community is vibrant and diverse.
Spectrum Noticias delivers balanced coverage of the stories that matter in our communities and across the country.
Our journalists are based in the neighborhoods we cover, ensuring you get in-depth reporting on what's happening in the places we call home.
So join us at Spectrum Noticias. We're always on, always there for you.
Now available on your TV. Check your local listings. Also available on the Spectrum News app.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. In less than 2 weeks, Mayor Mamdani is expected to reveal a preliminary budget that is full of red ink, with the city facing a $12 billion budget gap over the next 2 years. A recent audit by the city controller's office found that part of the shortfall is due to under-budgeting for the city's housing voucher program, also known as City FEPS. The program helps New Yorkers struggling to find stable housing by paying part of their rent and keeping them out of the city's shelter system. As a result of the city's looming budget gap, the Mamdani administration has delayed the expansion of the City FEPS program. But my next guest says that expanding the program will actually save the city money by reducing the cost of a shelter stay, which is very high. Joining me now to talk through the numbers and much more is former City Council Speaker Christine Quinn, who currently serves as the president and CEO of the nonprofit WIN, the city's largest provider of shelter and social services for homeless families. Welcome back to the program. Very good to see you.
Thank you.
We have had this discussion before, so I would like you to summarize it briefly. Paying rent through City FEPS vouchers enables people to move out of shelters like the ones that you operate at a cost per night that is much lower and provides more stable housing than if they were in shelter. That's the basic argument, right?
Absolutely. A voucher, a night in a voucher in your own apartment is about $75 a night. A night with me in one of our shelters is between $350 and $400. A night in a welfare hotel is over $400, inching up on $500. So clearly, you're going to save more money by moving people out. You know, one of the things that both the controller's analysis and other ones fail to recognize is that for people who leave shelter without a voucher, there's about a 50% return to shelter rate. That really adds to the overall money we're spending on shelters and hotels throughout the city. Also, the expansion would make the voucher available to people before they get evicted. That's going to save on the growing cost of providing free counsel to people in housing court. So there's auxiliary expenses that the controller's report and others don't even take into account.
Well, now, the controller, Mark Levine, told me last week that the cost of City FEPS is increasing at a rate of 4% per month, meaning it will double every 18 months. Any way you look at it, that's not really a sustainable cost curve, is it?
Well, the amount of FEPS, the amount we're spending on these vouchers is going up because we're at an all-time high of homelessness. It makes sense that the FEPS numbers are going up. Forget what Adams budgeted. Their budgeting was a joke. They just, made it up, stuck their finger in the air. But of course, the numbers going up. We have more homeless people than we've ever had before, and groups are doing a good job of moving them out of shelter. If you stop putting money into FEPS and don't expand it, people are going to stay in shelter longer. That's going to cost money, but is also terrible, particularly for children. And right now, there are more children in shelter than there are seats in Yankee Stadium. This is not a program to cut back on. And times being hard in the budget, well, unemployment is hard all throughout New York City. Cutting back is going to hurt people who need support the most.
Well, I mean, at what point, if you could take a step back, and you did long-term, multi-year budgets when you were in the city council. At what point do we ask if the city of New York should be paying all or part of the rent of every low-income household indefinitely?
Well, first of all, you get 5 years is your first sign-up, right? And then you go through means testing every year. And if you have made enough money that you could be paying your own rent, you lose the voucher. So it's not willy-nilly, it's targeted people of a certain income level. New York City is required by law to house the homeless, which means that when someone presents themselves at intake, they are moved into a shelter. We need to make a decision. Are we going to spend more money on shelter, or are we going to spend more money in vouchers? When people move out without a voucher, there's over 50% of WIN's clients who moved out without a voucher come back to shelter. That is re-traumatizing and costing the city more. So we have a legal obligation to house the homeless. The only question is, how are we going to do it?
One of the questions about housing people with or without a voucher is whether or not you can get a better price, for example, across the river in Newark. Does your organization do that?
If folks want to move to Newark, or say sometimes people want to go upstate, we will help them with that. We'll also help with, not so much to Newark, but if people want to go upstate or somewhere else, with bus tickets or plane tickets and things like that. So, people may have relatives or a network somewhere else, and that kind of community connection is very important.
Okay. We'll continue to monitor the budget. If I can switch topics, I understand you were up in Syracuse for the Democratic Convention. I know in the past you've worn a pretty senior hat within the party. What is your role in the Democratic Party now?
I am vice chair of the party and chair of the executive committee. We just had an executive committee meeting. We passed a resolution regarding the horrific behavior of ICE and urging that legislation gets passed at the federal level to curtail ICE, to cut back on their funding, and to really do a complete overhaul. And tomorrow we'll have the nominating convention where we will nominate Kathy Hochul to be reelected, Tish James to be reelected, and Tom DiNapoli to be reelected. I don't mean to judge in advance, but I'm fairly certain that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, we've gotten that feeling from our reporter there on the scene. Thank you very much. Great talking with you, Christine Quinn.
Take care.
We're going to take a short break now, and when we come back, Shia Muslims in New York say that they feel more represented than ever with Mayor Mamdani in office. We'll explain why in 2 minutes. Stay with us.
After 30 years of forecasting for New York, I've learned it takes a dedicated team to cover all the weather our city has to offer. As chief meteorologist at New York One, I'm honored to be able to help New Yorkers plan their day.
Morning, noon, or night, our team is here to bring you accurate forecasts you can count on, from severe weather updates to our Weather on the Ones. Watch the New York One weather experts with your Weather on the Ones on your TV and on the go with the Spectrum News app.
I moved from Dallas to Los Angeles all by myself. The order of things I wanted to set up was internet, water, then power. I needed to take a shower, but I really did need the internet for work and to watch my shows. That's kind of a crazy thing to admit in front of a camera. Pretend I didn't say that. I got to Spectrum. I was so relieved that I was getting the best bang for my buck. It was a huge weight taken off of my shoulders.
Real customers, real savings. To see how much you can save, visit spectrum.com/save.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now. More kitchen now.
My father was a New York City firefighter. My mission, like his, is to serve New Yorkers in a city that doesn't stop when the sun goes down. Being with New York One since the beginning, I'm now honored to join you even earlier each weeknight. Starting at 8 with New York Tonight, we'll explore the news developments, followed by New York One at 10 to wrap up your day. So join me each weeknight starting at 8 right here on New York One.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. As Mayor Mamdani marks 1 month in office, New York One took a closer look at the historic nature of his mayoralty. Most New Yorkers know Mamdani is the first Muslim mayor of our city, but what's less known is that he is the first Shia Muslim mayor. That's a minority branch or denomination within Islam. Our Nurulin Khawaja spoke with Shia New Yorkers in this report.
Hussein Rashid says he sees a lot of himself in Mayor Zohran Mamdani. Rashid was born and raised in Queens. Mayor Mamdani was an assemblyman representing Queens. Rashid's ancestors are from Tanzania in East Africa, and Mamdani was born in Uganda, also in East Africa. The two also share the same faith, Shiism, a sect within Islam. Around 1 in 10 Muslims are Shia.
Shias are a minority within a minority of Muslims in New York City. But more importantly, I think, is the idea that we as Shia don't have to figure out how to explain what Shias are anymore. The fact that we have a mayor means that people understand the diversity of what it means to be Muslim.
Rashid, who lives in Harlem, is a professor of Islamic studies. He teaches a course on Shiism at Union Theological Seminary. And he believes the Mamdani leadership underscores greater visibility for Shia New Yorkers.
It allows them to see themselves, their values, and what they felt as an extreme amount of pressure since September 11th, to see that they really are welcomed in this city.
Not just welcome, but embraced, according to longtime Brooklynite Sadia Abdul Karim, who's originally from Trinidad.
It sure is cool to be a Shia in the city of New York at this time in our lives, at this time in our history.
The majority of Muslims are Sunnis, and the two main sects agree on the basic tenets of Islam and have similar prayers, but have different beliefs about the successor after the Prophet Muhammad's death. Abdul Karim converted to Shia Islam more than 3 decades ago.
I got pride, girl. Now, with the mayor in the forefront, it's like we have arrived.
High school math teacher and Queens resident Rumi Hushmand also believes Shia New Yorkers have arrived.
If you try and run the numbers on how many Shia community members have gotten to this level to represent the community in such a positive way, the numbers are very low. So that's also pretty exciting to have someone so significant, not just politically, but also in the community every single day, representing us.
The 26-year-old says this level of representation matters for acceptance.
It opens up the space for so many other Shia Muslims to feel more confident in asserting their identity in their work.
Norlane Kawaja, New York 1.
It is time now for a break. Coming up, there's a new production in the works at the Metropolitan Opera highlighting the abduction of Ukrainian children by Russian authorities. We'll bring you a preview in 2 minutes. Stay with us.
We have so many ways to stay connected. A single touch can bring us closer to the families we love, the friends we know, and the city we share. And Spectrum helps us keep connected throughout the day, every day. Including more ways to watch New York One as a Spectrum Internet customer. Watch Spectrum News New York One on the Spectrum News app, available on all your favorite devices.
There's an international travel plan with Spectrum that was an additional $10 a month, as opposed to paying a ridiculous amount per day for roaming fees. This literally felt like my old phone carrier was reaching their hand into my wallet and just helping themselves to some of my cash. I like having no surprises when it comes to my cell phone bill. And with Spectrum, that's been the case. So it saved me a ton of money.
Real customers, real savings. To see how much you can save, visit spectrum.com/save.
Every day tells a new story. At Mornings on One, we're dedicated to bringing you the stories that matter most to start your day. With in-depth coverage of the day's news.
I'm Pat Kernan. Here are the stories we're following.
And weather updates every 10 minutes.
Tomorrow, some morning sunshine possible. Clouds take over.
It's our responsibility to get you the information you need before you head out the door. Mornings on One. Weekdays starting at 6 on the Spectrum News app. Free for Spectrum and Xfinity customers.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. It has been nearly 4 years since Russia launched its full-on invasion of Ukraine. Since then, Russian authorities have forcibly transferred or deported roughly 20,000 Ukrainian children to Russia and its territories. Well, fewer than 2,000 of those Ukrainians have been rescued, but it's thanks to organizations like Save Ukraine, which crosses into enemy lines to find and reunite children with their families. Next year, a new opera will take stage at the Metropolitan Opera, highlighting the hardships that Ukrainian children and their relatives have been experiencing. It's titled The Mothers of Kherson, and there's an orchestral suite of the opera. Joining me now to talk more about the opera and the ongoing crisis in Ukraine is Peter Gelb. He's the general manager of the Metropolitan Opera. And Mykola Kuleba is the founder of the Save Ukraine Network, which has personally rescued, who has personally rescued hundreds of children taken by the Russians. I want to thank you both for being here. And Mr. Kuleba, I want to start with you. This opera is based on the work that you have been doing in real life, traveling through these dangerous conditions across 3,000 miles behind the lines of Russian-occupied territories and recovering Ukrainian children. What is that journey like? Are you using, disguises? How does this happen?
Thank you so much. It's a great privilege for us to be in here and to speak about abducted children, because no one child deserved this life to be abducted, separated with their parents, and when Russia turning them into Russian soldiers. And we built underground railroad. It's like a special operation, first of all, to find these kids in Russian territories or in occupied territories, because very often their parents were killed, arrested, disappeared, or just taken, these children taken to re-education camp or military academies. And Russia want to create from them soldiers. That's why we carefully searching these kids and identifying, locating them, and then building communication, because many of them have been hugely brainwashed and they believe that is not Russia aggressor, that USA is aggressor, NATO country is aggressor, and they fighting with the Russia, and Russia is a victim, and Nazi will live in Ukraine. And they brainwashing kids this way. That's why it's so important for us when we reach this child to tell child true story about Ukraine, about United States, and then to plan carefully their route home and bring them home. And I cannot talk a lot about underground railroad, how it's operate. We've got many confidential things, but every rescue is like a special operation. And Save Ukraine now rescued more than 1,000 children from Russia captivity.
Fantastic. I want to play a video from the Save Ukraine Network to help our viewers understand what's being done to them. I mean, you're alluding to this, that there's a brainwashing component to this, which is especially insidious. Let's take a look at that.
In these camps, the Russians tried to reprogram Ukrainian children and turn them into Russians. They intimidated the children and instilled hatred toward their homeland, Ukraine. Because of the daily brainwashing where children were told that Ukraine did not need them and were threatened, the Nazi will kill you and eat you, he became psychologically conditioned. After his rescue, Danik underwent a long rehabilitation program with Save Ukraine specialists to help him recover his true self.
Oh, extraordinary. Now, Peter Gelb, how did you learn of the work being done by the Save Ukraine Network, and what made you decide to commission an opera about their work?
Well, as you know, Errol, the Met has been a staunch defender of Ukraine since the beginning of the invasion in 2022, and that's why we created the Ukrainian Freedom Orchestra. And one of the initiatives that I discussed with my wife, Carrie Lynn Wilson, the conductor of the Ukrainian Freedom Orchestra, together with the First Lady of Ukraine, Olena Zelenska, who looks after large cultural projects there, was the idea of commissioning an opera that would help tell the story of Ukraine's plight in these incredibly difficult times. So the work of Save Ukraine, Mykolo's work, was an inspiration for the story that this opera tells, which is based all on actual facts, but the characters are fictionalized. But the story of the opera, in brief, it's about two mothers who are in occupied Kherson shortly after the invasion, who are duped into allowing their teenage daughters to visit a so-called Ukrainian Crimea summer camp, where there's from which they do not return. And when the mothers realize that their children are not coming back, and then shortly after that, Putin and his minister in charge of child abductions were both accused of war crimes, and his minister Maria Lvova held a press conference saying that any Ukrainian mother who believes their child is being wrongly held in Russia was welcome to come and get them, which obviously was a disingenuous message, but one that some mothers took seriously, and with the help of Save Ukraine, actually went on this incredible, brave mission, traveling thousands of miles across Ukraine and Poland and into Belarus and down into Russia and to the Crimea to try to rescue their children. Some succeeded and some did not. And the opera is this epic story about these brave mothers and their children.
So now, when you commission something like that, I mean, a work of art, whether it's a painting or music or an opera, is intended to leave the audience a little different than when they encounter this art. This is something you've commissioned. I understand it's going to be arriving at Lincoln Center next year. What are you trying to accomplish? How are people going to feel after they have seen this work?
Well, actually, first it's going to be performed in a concert version in Kiev this June. Then it will be performed in Warsaw, which is our co-commissioning partner, in October. And then the following season it will be at the Met. But the news covers these tragic humanitarian crises all the time. But art bears witness to history's atrocities in a different way. Our hope is that this will be an enduring, immortal work that will stand as an artistic testament to what has happened. And throughout history, art has been a main way in which history has been recorded, and it's very important, I think, for the audiences who will see this opera both at the Met and in Poland, and when we broadcast it into cinemas around the world, to help tell the story so it will never be forgotten.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for what you are doing, and you especially, Mr. Kuleba, and thanks for coming on to tell us all about it. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, that's going to do it for tonight's show. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great evening. We'll see you next time inside City Hall.
And that's a look at some of what's in the papers this morning.
You're done with the sports section.
Today's story is about the latest chapter for a beloved local business.
It's a beautiful day with temperatures in the 60s, but showers are expected in the next hour.
In a city that's always on the go, it's important to stop to hear the stories that connect us.
The news that matters to New Yorkers. That's what brings us together. That's Mornings on One.
Weekdays starting at 6.
You might think Spectrum is just for your home, but Spectrum is seamless connectivity everywhere. It's the network making the other networks sweat. Connectivity from an actual internet company, because internet is what you actually use your phone for. It's way more than 5G. With Spectrum One, it's 5G and fiber-powered internet, seamlessly combined for the fastest wireless speeds. Don't believe us? Ask this guy. He's one of millions who already know. Oh yeah, and this guy too. Turns out people like their mobile from a seamless connectivity company. That's why Spectrum is the country's fastest growing mobile provider. Spectrum One. It's only the seamless connection you love at home. everywhere you go. It's only everything.
There's nothing quite like the feeling of going to the theater. Onstage celebrates that excitement every week by taking you